All right. The prosecution will call the next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Valerie Pabon.
Testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or do you so wrong.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm going to just go ahead and ask you to make sure you're speaking into the microphone.
Okay.
And make sure that everybody who's sitting here can hear you, okay?
Okay.
Can you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Valerie Pabon, V-A-L-E-R-I-E, P-A-B as in boy, O-N as in Nancy.
And I said Valerie Pabon, and it's Pabon, so
Pabon,
I apologize for that.
It's okay. Everyone messes it up.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Valerie?
I am a junior at NAU. I was born and raised in California.
Where in California?
Glendora, California, by like Pasadena, kind of.
Okay. Are you an NAU student, or were you?
Oh, yes, I am a NAU student. I'm a junior, full-time student.
What are you studying?
I'm studying communications with an emphasis in PR and advertising.
What year were you in October of 2015?
I was a sophomore.
And where did you live?
I lived in Mountain View Hall.
Mountain View Hall?
Mountain View. Let's just say Mountain View. I don't know if it's called Hall. I don't know.
All right. Is it a residence hall?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, you were living on the your sorority's wing of that hall, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall the room number? It's okay if you don't.
I don't.
I'm sorry. Do you recall which floor you were on?
The third floor.
Third floor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Valerie, I'm going to direct your attention to the very early morning hours of October 9th of 2015. Do you recall that time frame?
Yes.
Shortly after 1 o'clock, or in that approximate time frame, can you tell the jury where you were?
I was in my room with my roommate and then my suite mate, one of my suite mates.
Who were they?
With their names?
Yes.
Paloma and Kayla.
Okay. And what were you guys doing?
We were crafting for our littles in our sorority.
What are littles?
They're like girls in younger like grades than us that we kind of like mentor, I would say, kind of.
All right, so younger girls in your sorority?
In our sorority, yeah, that we like take under our wing, and they were all in the same sorority, but like it's like big sister, little sister kind of deal.
Oh, I get it. Okay. And so you were crafting, like making?
Yeah, I was making her crafts.
Okay. Was there something that occurred in roughly that time frame that caught your attention?
Yeah, when we were making our crafts, I heard yelling outside, and so I went and looked out the window, and there was just a bunch of boys outside arguing with each other, and which is not really uncommon for Mountain View. There's always like yelling outside.
Okay.
At nighttime, so I didn't think anything of it.
You didn't think of anything of it, but you looked out the window anyways?
Yeah, just because nosy, I guess.
Okay. Can you, I said roughly that time frame. Do you have a better time frame for me? Did you look at the clock or have an idea what time it was?
No, I didn't.
All right. So you heard the yelling, and when you looked out the window, what were you looking down on?
The boys.
Okay. What area?
Oh, on like the big sidewalk thing, not the parking lot, but the sidewalk closer to the building.
Okay. You said the boys. How many, was it, well, why don't you describe what you saw?
Okay. So I saw two groups of boys, roughly around 6 or 8, somewhere around those numbers. I'm not exactly sure.
Total?
Yeah, total.
Okay.
And there's two groups arguing with each other. And then two of the boys kind of got it more heated with each other, but then the friends separated everything. So one of the groups started walking back, walking away. I think they both kind of started just like the friends just separated it, and it kind of was, I thought it was going to end, like, okay, everyone was going to go home. But then, so one of the groups was walking back towards the courtyard.
Okay.
I don't know what street that is.
If I said Franklin Street, would you agree?
Yeah, Franklin Street. Yes, Franklin Street. And one of the boys, what I recall, is one of the boys in, not the group walking to Franklin, the other group, yelled something. I don't know what they yelled, I didn't hear, but obviously it didn't make one of the other boys happy. So one of the boys in the group walking to Franklin Street ran back to him and shoved him. And then all the other friends came running to like either stop it or get involved. I'm not sure.
Okay. Just to be clear, so we're talking about two groups, and you said that they were separating?
Yes.
So one headed maybe towards the track side of Mountain View?
Yeah.
One group?
Yeah.
Can you estimate the number of people in that group? To the best of your recollection.
I don't want to say a wrong number.
That's all right. If you
Like-
don't recall, that's
Yeah,
okay.
I don't recall.
All right, but it was more than one person?
Yes, more than one person.
And the other group was headed back towards the Franklin Street direction?
Yes.
How far away would the two groups get before one said something that caused a response from the other? To the best of your ability. I
Like-
know you weren't measuring, but...
Maybe like 4 or 5 yards, I
5
think.
yards, so...
Maybe more than that.
Okay.
I don't want to say something wrong.
Well, in a minute, we'll bring up a kind of a
Okay.
view of the area, and maybe I'll re-ask that
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Did you hear what was said?
I did not.
Okay. But it was definitely something that was said from one group towards the other,
Yes.
and that prompted a response from how many of the members of the other group?
What I recall is one individual.
All right. What do you recall about that individual, if you recall anything? Any description you can give the jury?
I want to say he was wearing a red shirt.
Okay.
That's about it. That's all I recall.
All right. And you said he went back and pushed somebody from the other group?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear about what you're talking about. So, something was said from over here. One person came back from over here. Did these guys stay where they were? Did they come back in the direction of the first group? Or what can you tell us about that?
I don't really remember.
Okay. So, but in any event, somebody from this group, the Franklin Street side group, closed that distance and pushed somebody from the other group.
Yes.
Do you remember anything about the person that was pushed?
I think he was wearing a white shirt.
Okay.
I didn't see faces very well, but
Just whatever you recall.
Okay.
Just the shirts? Or you recall anything else?
I think the guy in the white shirt was Colin.
Okay. Ultimately, you determined that, or you knew that at the time?
At the time, that's what I thought at the time.
Did you know Colin?
I did not.
Okay, so I guess
just-
what I'm trying to ask you is, did you identify this person in the white shirt as Colin Brew at the time?
No, I saw him in the white shirt, and then later I saw that same boy on the floor.
Okay, all right. So you think that one of the guys that ended up on the ground was involved in that, for that
I
interaction?
do.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So you described a push. Was there any other physical confrontation between those two people or the other?
I didn't see any fists being thrown or anything like that. It was kind of, it was more of them running up, all the boys running up, and then it kind of just, like, I didn't see any fists thrown.
Okay.
It didn't seem like it was going to get that big of a deal.
I'm sorry, what was,
Didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a, incident.
okay, it didn't seem like a big deal to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so after the push, did they just argue with each other, or what happened?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, that interaction right there, was that any different? I mean, did it sound any different to you than any other given Thursday night in front of Mountain View?
I mean, yeah, I haven't really seen like a whole outside of Mountain View, it's usually just yelling, people being intoxicated or something like that, like just yelling, but I haven't seen an actual like people like going at each other, I guess you would
Okay.
say.
Well, again, just to clarify what you mean by going at each other.
Like, what's the word? Like pushing each other, I guess. I really haven't seen that year. I mean, I only lived there that 1 year, so I haven't seen that at all
Okay.
there.
All right. So you've described what you saw up until that point. Valerie, can you tell us what happened next?
So after that, it was honestly, like, it seemed like I just blinked my eyes, and I guess it was kind of, yeah, it just seemed like I like blinked my eyes, and then someone had a gun. And when I saw that and I heard the gun go off, it didn't really put it together. Like, I didn't really think it could be real. Like, I thought maybe it was a BB gun or something. Like, and then when I saw someone hit the floor, sorry. After that, I was just like, okay, this happened. So I ran to my RA's room just to see, like, just to tell her what's happening, you know, and she could get, like, call officers or whatever. So I ran to her room.
I'm gonna
Okay.
just step back.
Yeah, okay.
Because I need you to describe what you saw, Valerie. I know it's difficult, okay? And take your time. But let me step back just a little bit further. So after the push, how long until you saw a person with a gun?
Probably like, I don't know.
Okay? Longer than a minute? Less than a
Yeah,
minute?
longer than a minute.
Okay.
I would say longer than a minute.
And what were these guys doing in that minute? Just jawing back and forth? If you recall.
I don't recall.
All right. Do you remember hearing anything said in that time frame?
I don't think so.
Okay. But were things being said that you just didn't hear what was being said?
Yeah, there was like yelling,
Okay.
but I couldn't make out any of it.
All right. All right, so push and then yelling and then maybe a minute or more than a minute passed. And then tell the jury what you saw, Valerie.
I saw a boy holding a gun with a flashlight of some sort. I don't know if it was on the gun or like an actual flashlight being held in the other hand. So I saw that, and then I remember the boys that were there after it's like he was there with the gun, and then all of a sudden, like, I blinked and shots were fired. And then what I recall is the boys that were there it seemed to me that they backed up and they were just like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't, like, what's going on? Like, this is not real life. Like, kind of like that. And that's when I ran to the RA.
Okay. So you heard shots.
Yes.
Can you estimate the number of shots that you heard?
No, I don't remember.
It was more than one?
More than one.
Did you see the shots?
I was looking while that happened, but I didn't see, like, I couldn't tell you where the gun was being pointed or not. It kind of all just happened.
Okay. And then you said the boys. So what was it that you saw?
The boys that were there, that were a part of the earlier altercation, were all there, and they all were backing up, what it looked like to me, backing up, and I heard one of them saying, what are you doing? What's going on?
How many were on the ground, if any?
At that point, I believe there were 2 on the ground.
You described could you actually see the gun? You could see the gun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I saw the flashlight, and because there's obviously like a big light coming out. I don't know if I saw the like actual, like the look of it or anything like that.
Did you see the shooter?
Yeah, I saw the person holding the gun, but I couldn't make out a face.
Okay. Did you see his posture?
I don't recall what it was.
Did you hear him say anything?
No, I didn't. I kind of, I don't know, it just all just happened, and it just, yeah, I mean, if he did say something, I didn't hear it.
Besides that person with the gun, did you see anybody else with any weapons?
I did not.
Did you hear anything about the cops or somebody saying, out there, somebody talking about calling the cops? What did you hear?
Yeah, I heard the boys that were backing up saying, what are you doing? I heard them saying, we're going to call the cops. And so I heard some more talk about that after I went to my RA.
Okay.
When I came back, should I go on with my story?
Well,
about that?
okay, so you heard somebody say, "We're going to call the cops"?
Yes.
Did you hear any response to that?
I heard him, I remember him saying, "Okay, call the cops. Call the
Okay.
cops." But I don't recall if that was before I went to the RA or after I came back.
So, with regards to the people that were on the ground, did you notice anything about them before you went to talk to your RA?
Yeah, I noticed the one boy, one of them was not moving, and the other one was struggling to move.
So then you ran to your RA?
Yes.
And what's an RA?
An R is like someone who, I don't know I forget, like resident assistant, something like that, who lives in the hall and kind of works in the front desks at some shifts and like keeps the hall kind of under control.
So just kind of an older student who keeps an eye on everybody?
Not necessarily older, but just someone who the school has like...
They're in residence.
Yeah, they're responsible people who,
All right.
yeah.
So that you went looking for that person?
Yeah, I went to her room, which was like a hall away, because there's
And-
3 halls.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, there's like 3 different halls in the one wing that we lived in, and she lived in the second one, right around like a couple of rooms down from me. So I ran to her room and knocked on her door.
Okay, what happened next?
She didn't answer, so I assumed she wasn't there. So I called the police, and they didn't answer. It was beeping, so the line was busy. And then I went back to my room, and then like a bunch of girls were in my room just crying.
Okay. So other girls had come into your room? Because there was just the 3 of you in there before, right?
Yes.
So other girls had come into the room?
Yeah, there's a few other girls that came into our room just to be like, did you hear, like, kind of
Sure.
stuff. What? Yeah.
And everybody was upset?
Yes.
What happened next?
I looked out the window, and at this point, I heard people like below me, like maybe that lived below me, like their windows open, yelling like to the people who were out there, saying like, hold down the wounds, we're calling the cops, just kind of yelling things to help them in any way.
Did you hear, was the shooter still out there when you looked out there?
Yes.
Where was he?
I think he was, if I recall right, he was standing in the parking lot, like but close to the sidewalk. He was just kind of standing there.
Did you hear him say anything?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. And again, in a minute, we'll bring up the scan, and you can describe the areas that we're talking about, but how far, just for now, how far away from the 2 men that were on the ground was the shooter, if you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. What do you remember happening next, Valerie?
I remember
May I approach your arm? Sorry. Just tissues. Do you have tissues up there?
yeah, there, sorry. Yeah. So after I got there, I looked, he was standing there, and it just kind of looked like he didn't know what to do. and no one really knew what to do, and the cops arrived shortly after I looked out the window after I got back from my RA. And right when the cops got there, he went on the floor like everyone else did and listened to what they said.
Okay. So when you looked back, did you hear any additional shots after that first?
I didn't, because
Okay.
I was with my RA, or trying to get my RA in the hallway.
And when you looked back out the window and you could see the shooter standing there, did he still have the gun? Do you know?
I don't know.
Did you see the flashlight again? Is that
No, I
ringing?
did. I
Okay.
didn't see the flashlight again.
And it wasn't until the police got there that he reacted in some way?
Like reacted by like going onto the floor, like
Whatever his reaction was. If you
no.
recall, Valerie.
I remember looking and him kind of just like not really like just being like kind of just like I just did this, like what did I just do, kind of. It looked like that's how it looked to me.
Okay.
And then the police got there.
All right, Valerie, I'm going to back up just a little bit. So we talked about the guy in the white shirt,
Okay.
and you
Yeah.
think that was the young man who ultimately passed away?
Yes.
All right. Now, he was involved in that pushing?
He was, I don't know if he pushed back, but he was involved. Yeah, I don't know if he pushed back, but I mean, I don't want to say something I don't know.
Okay. What about the other boy? Was he involved in any of that interaction at all? The other boy who
The
you
one-
saw on the ground?
No, I don't believe he was, but I wasn't there, like down there, so I don't know what was going on.
From your point of view?
From my point of view, I don't think he was.
Your voice trails
Sorry.
away a little bit. so-
Sorry. From my point of view, I don't think he was. The other boy who was struggling to move, I don't think he was involved in the pushing.
Before the gun came out, Valerie, did you think that this was a really serious or life and death situation?
I did not.
You've seen guys get into shoving matches with each other before, right?
Yes.
Did you think that the use of a weapon was likely or necessary?
Objection, Your Honor. Salazar.
Sustained.
May we approach, Judge?
No. It's irrelevant, too.
Well, I guess that's what I wanted to discuss.
I understand.
All right. The All right, in a moment we'll go to the Leica scan, Valerie, but fair to say you didn't hear anybody talking about killing anybody or threatening to kill anybody, is that fair?
I did not hear that.
Okay. With the court's permission, may I publish the Leica scan, Your Honor? All right. There might be a laser pointer up there, Valerie?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you indicate to the jury what we're looking at here?
The scene of the crime? Or
Is that
Mountain View
Mount-
Hall? Yeah,
is that
okay,
Mountain View
yeah.
Hall?
Yes, that's Mountain View Hall.
All right. From this point of view, are you able to identify which window was yours?
Yeah, that one.
All right, so that's the fourth one in from the left
Yes,
on the third floor?
yes.
And when you were observing all of this happen, was your window open or closed, or do you recall?
I think it was at least cracked, but I'm not sure if it was all the way open or not.
Okay. You think it was open a little bit?
Yes,
All right.
because I heard yelling,
All right.
but I couldn't tell you if it was all the way open or not.
All right. All right. Valerie, can you describe to the jury what we're looking at here?
That's the sidewalk thing I was talking about, where all the boys were when I first looked out the window when I heard yelling.
All right. And from this point of view, and let me know if from this point of view you can't answer the question, and we'll try another point of view, okay?
Okay.
But from this point of view, can you tell me how far the group that was heading back towards Franklin, how far in front of Mountain View they got, or how far down the sidewalk they got?
Maybe like right there. Like the end. Can we look at a different point of view?
Sure.
I don't know if it's going to help.
All right, so now would you agree we're looking the opposite direction down the sidewalk?
Yes.
All right, maybe, is that any better? Or are you able to answer the question from that point of view? And if not, let me know. We can try another
yeah.
one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think we're back to where we started. Are you able to
Yeah, I think that's probably...
answer the question from that point of view?
So I would say probably like right there.
Okay. And where would you be able to tell us where the other group was before the yell that led to the...
Like right there,
Okay.
possibly? I'm not exactly sure,
Okay.
but those are my best guesses.
All right, Valerie. And again, let me know if you can't answer these questions from this point of view, but can you tell us from where you were looking where the shooter was when you first saw him?
I can't answer that. I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Are you able to tell us where the young men who got shot were immediately prior to the shots?
I believe one of them was right there. I can't remember where the other one was.
All right. And did you see anybody moving immediately prior to the shooting?
Just people backing away.
Immediately prior to the shooting?
Yeah.
Okay. If I may have a moment.
Sure.
Nothing further at this time, Judge.
Mr. McKellen?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You might have already said it, but just to clarify, what room were you in?
I don't know the exact number. I was on the third floor, fourth room in.
Okay. And we'll go back to that in a moment to clarify
Okay.
that. Okay. So when you first look out the window, you already see these two groups walking away from each other?
No.
Okay, what did you first see when you looked out the window?
When I first looked out the window, I saw them right next to each other, and they were all yelling at each other. I don't know what they were yelling, but they were all yelling at each other pretty close to each other.
And you think there was about 6 to 8 guys total?
Yeah, roughly.
But you don't know how many on each side?
No.
Now, you had heard a lot of yelling, right?
Yes.
You couldn't make out everything that was said, right?
Right.
So it's possible there could have been people yelling curse words at each other, and you just didn't make out exactly what was said, right?
Right.
Before those first shots, you didn't hear the shooter say anything,
I didn't know.
but he could have said something, you just didn't hear it?
Yeah, I couldn't really make out what anyone was saying.
Let's go ahead and pull up the likeness. We'll stick with the view that you're most comfortable with.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can use your pointer, just clarify, which window are you looking out of?
That one. That room.
That one.
Yeah.
And that window's closed as we see it in that picture, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you think that at the time you were looking out, it was open,
I think it could have been,
but you're not sure?
I think it was at least cracked. I don't 100%, I can't 100% tell you which it was.
Okay. Now we see that tree in front of that window. Is that obscuring your view at all?
No, because the walkway is a little farther away, so I could see right over it.
Okay. So you're seeing the two group. When you first look out the window, where do you see that group of guys?
They're almost directly under my window, so one was about right there, and the other one was like right there. It was all they were all like right in that proximity.
And that's that group of 6 to 8 guys that you're referring to?
Yes.
So that's on the sidewalk? Those guys were all standing on the sidewalk?
Yes.
They exchange some words, but you don't make out what anyone says, right?
Right.
And then they start to separate.
Yes.
You see a group of guys start walking towards Franklin, right?
Right.
And if you can use your pointer to just sort of show the direction they were moving.
That way.
Okay. The other group, were they starting to walk away too, or were they still standing there?
I don't really recall that.
But you recall somebody from that group there on the sidewalk yell something to the group that was walking away towards Franklin.
Yes.
And after that, somebody from that group ran back and shoved the person who yelled something,
Someone from the group walking away.
turned around and ran back and shoved somebody.
Yes.
Okay, but you don't recall what anyone said at that point.
No.
But somebody was saying something. You clearly heard yelling, right?
Yeah, I heard yelling.
And then all of the other guys that had been walking towards Franklin came running back,
Yes.
and they surround the guy who had yelled something initially?
No, it looked to me as they were running back to stop whatever was going on, or just like, yeah, to stop whatever was going on.
To stop the guy who was pushing?
Just to stop the fight from happening again.
Okay.
Or the arguing.
Okay, do you remember giving an interview to the officers shortly after this all happened?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to review that in preparation for your testimony today?
Yeah.
You did?
I did.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you a copy. It's Exhibit 62.
You read the lights back on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Take a look at that, confirm that's a transcript of the interview you gave the officer?
Yes, it is.
And that's something you also had reviewed in preparation for today?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to direct you to page 2 of that transcript.
Okay.
And we'll actually look at line 2. Now that's the end of your paragraph where you refer to the pushing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then right after that, starting on line 3, you say, and then all of his friends kind of surrounded them, sort of running over. And you're referring to this group that had been walking towards Franklin, right?
Yes.
And so after somebody yelled at that group, one of those guys didn't like what he heard and he came running back and shoved somebody, right?
Yes.
And as you told the officer that day, then all of his friends came running back over and surrounded them, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. And you would agree that what you told the officer that day would have been much fresher in your mind than a year and a half later as you sit here today, right?
Yes.
No further question.
Redirect.
Just a couple more questions, Valerie, thanks. Just to be clear, there were six or eight guys total, so both groups combined added up to 6 or 8 guys, is that right?
Yes.
And when the comment was made and the person came running back from the other group, it was an interaction between one person and one person, is that correct?
Yes.
And there was one push, is that correct?
Yes.
And there was no other physical altercation?
Not that I saw.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all, Judge. Thank you.
All right, I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for Ms. Pabon. Looks like we do, so I'll see counsel at the sidebar. All right, so Ms. Pabon, the jurors asked, how many streetlights are in the parking lot 7A? Is this a well-lit parking area and sidewalk?
I couldn't tell you how many lights there were. I've never took the time and counted. The lights aren't very bright, but it was bright enough to where I could see what was going on.
Follow up.
Thank you, Judge. All right, just talking about lighting. You've walked down that sidewalk at night before, is that correct?
Yes.
And you can see?
Yes.
So there is ambient lighting, street lights or lights on the building?
Yeah.
Judge, again, I bring up the Leica scan?
Sure.
All right, that's Exhibit 316 for the record. Looking at that view right there, can you indicate to the jury any lighting that you're aware of?
Pretty sure that's a light and that's a light.
And those cast down on the sidewalk?
Yes.
And any other lighting in that area that you're familiar with?
There's a light in the parking lot, pretty close right there. Or, yeah, right there.
Okay. And was lighting an issue for you? You could see, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I could see.
All right, folks, let's take our last mid-afternoon recess, 10 minutes. Please remember the admonition.